Welcome to this very cozy Hub 75, a new initiative of the festival this year, which with a wonderful, wonderful view today. It's not snowing, but it's sunny. How lucky are we? I'm Anna David. I'm one of the programmers, one of the selection committee people at the Panorama section here at the Berlinale, and I'm super, super happy that we're having this conversation today with a full audience. The videos online won't show it, but we know we've been here together, and that counts for something for sure. People being together. This is the Directors Exchange Double Trouble Art of Co-Directing. As you know, you haven't come here on mistake, I'm sure. But if you do, please stay. It's going to be super interesting. And I'm super happy to have this wonderful panel with me of filmmakers duos, as you might have guessed. On my left here, first I have Miri and Gossing and Lina Sieckmann, directors of the German film Sirens Call, their very first feature, playing in the forum section here at the Berlinale. Please a warm welcome. And on their left we have Leela Varghese and Hobbs, directors of the Australian film Lesbian Space Princess, also their very first feature, playing at Panorama. And to their left we also have Marcio Reolon and Filipe Matzembacher, directors of The Night Stage, their third feature together, playing at the Panorama here. While it's not the most common happening in artistic collaborations in filmmaker, there are very well-known examples of creative duos. Of course, speaking of, if we mention the U.S. cinema, North American cinema, we can think of the Coen brothers, the Safdie brothers, the Daniels, and also, of course, the Wachowski sisters, as we all know. And we were pleased to see this aspect actually coming up at the Teddy program this year as a trend, sort of. And it's a trend very well represented also in the whole program of the festival. Besides these 3 films, there are other 19 films in the entire program. In each section of the festival there is at least one example, if not more, of films who are also co-directed, and at least one film is also directed by 5 directors, which is a whole endeavor, isn't it? And another one in Forum Expanded, for instance, is a collective called Star Collective. So we are being able to say that this is a rare artistic dynamic. So we basically have a very empirical, practice-based conversation about experiences and of working together. We want to hear from you, your what do you do together, how you do it, what kind of dialogues you have and conversations you're having and decision-making processes. What are the advantages, which I can imagine are many, otherwise you wouldn't do it. And if there are any disadvantages, what are they? And I'm quite curious about that one, so we'll leave it to the end. And I'll just ask you to briefly introduce your films in 1-2 liners, please. It's on.
Yeah, I'm Miri and Gossing, Lina Sieckmann. We are an artist duo for 13 years and from Cologne, Germany. And our film is about a new species, a siren coming to Earth and navigating postmodern society. And it's also a film about merfolk subculture. So yeah, it's dealing with topics like belonging, identity, and also like surviving in this actual political situation.
Our film Lesbian Space Princess is about an introverted Princess Syra who goes on an intergalactic space quest to save her ex-bounty hunter girlfriend from the straight white Malians.
Good morning, everyone.
Good luck following up with these ones. Like, creatures and, the most queer possible. Not that yours not.
Our film Night Stage is about an actor and a politician that start a secret affair, and together they find out they have a fetish for having sex in public places. So the more they go towards fame, the more they feel the urge to put themselves at risk.
So super happy with this panel as well, for the reason that, as you might have heard, there's quite different backgrounds and stories being told here and contexts as well. So we have an artist film that mixes documentary and fiction. We have a feature animation, which is fiction, and we have a fiction live action as well. So it's, it couldn't be more representative of filmmaking than this. You've already mentioned that you've been working together for quite a while, and you've met in Cologne, and but I would love to ask, so each of you, how did you meet? And if you can share that, and how did how did you jump into a collaboration from that? So I know that Lesbian Space Princess is your very first feature together, your very first work as directors together, while Marcio and Filipe, this is your third feature together. You've been working since 2012 together, with your first short film, and also here on my left, Miri and Lina, you've also been working together since 2012, so same years.
Yeah, well, it's always a funny story. Miri and I, we basically got to know each other in kindergarten, so 33 years ago in a little village in the Varghese land in Germany. And even back then in kindergarten we had projects of like escaping the kindergarten, and then we were applying to art school when we were like 18 or something, and started studying. Like, I was more into photography, Miri was very much into performance, and so we had developed like individual pieces, and then we met the cinematographer Sophie Montagnier, who was doing art film class in the Academy of Media Arts where we were studying, and so that was really the first step into our common filmmaking. We did a short film on 16mm, and then sort of continued our way into the film world.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have so much to add next to the kindergarten story, so we actually spent our whole life together. We're living together, sharing everything, so the collaboration is pretty intense.
We both live in like a city in Australia called Adelaide, and there's quite a cute little film community there, and we met through the film community, and we were like the only two lesbians, and so naturally we decided to date, and then we'd been dating like only like a year, and this initiative popped up for a chance to make a feature film, and we thought we'd ruin our relationship by making a film together, and that's sorry.
Is there anything to add? We're still together, which is great.
Filipe and I were met in film school 16 years ago, and we started dating and working at the same time, even though we started directing together a bit later, but already like in my first short film, Filipe acted in it, and Filipe's first short film we co-wrote. So we don't know dating without working and working without dating, so it's a mess, but it works so.
No, I think that's it. Like, and then from that's something that we mixed. That I think it also shaped our relationship and our taste on cinema, and our passion for cinema is it's sharing us cinephilia as well. So films we watch together like also shaped our relationship also in a sense, in our collaboration. So.
Of course. No, it's interesting because I've mostly mentioned siblings duos in the beginning, and here we have mostly dating duos. So kudos for that. So from meeting each other until you actually decide to craft stories together. Excuse me. There must have been a lot of dialogue, and I mean I'm quite interested in that. What's the kind of conversations and sharing of ideas and sharing of common interests that leads you into, because one thing is when we share space with friends and people in our community, artistic communities, and we understand that we have things in common and we have interests in common and opinions in common or not, and then we discuss them, which is really great. But another thing is to take a leap into making actual work together, where you must have had understood at some point, of course, that there was an artistic, formal also interest besides the story, besides wanting to tell the story, there must have been also a common ground on artistic choices, formal choices. So I'll be curious first to know what kind of conversations were you having, if you remember, how that took you into directing together, and then how did you, went into discussing formal aspects of your work.
With us, it's pretty interesting because, like, a lot of time we don't have to discuss things so much because somehow things are a little bit synchronized over the time, and we already did like 10 short films together and installations and photographic work. So that was like at the beginning not such a problem. So a lot of decision came very naturally and intuitively. And but with this feature film, it was like an 8-year process for us now. Also, like, we financed it on ourselves, and we went through all these different steps, and it was like crazy. So this was like for the first time also like planning a 2-hour narrative, like where we much more had to sit down and discuss. And it was also like the first time where, like, out of like 3,000 decisions, like sometimes 10 didn't match. But mainly we are also very open in the way we are approaching film, and process-oriented filmmakers who collaborate very much with the persons we are doing films together with. So it is like more a continuous talking and discussing and being open to each other and like the people we're working with, instead of like having a fixed script. Yeah, something to add.
I mean, it's also like, it's not like we sit down, okay, now we discuss our concepts or ideas. It's more like, okay, we have coffee in the kitchen together, or we are on a long road trip, and then, one thing leads to another. Yeah.
The very first film that you've done together, your first short, but also before the kind of work you do, because you have a background in contemporary art. I'm curious about how did that start? Like, what? It's not like dating, no? I mean, one person asks the other on a date, or maybe it was.
No, that was really, like I said, in the Academy of Media Arts. That was really okay. It's the seminar, and we had like 3 rolls of film, and we said, okay, let's do it together. Also with the cinematographer that we are still working with now, and it was in our hometown, so it was like we knew the place, we knew it both by heart. So yeah, that was the first time.
For us, like, we were both short filmmakers and very different kinds of short filmmakers beforehand, and so when we came together to make Lesbian Space Princess, it was like combining our different skills, because I'm an animator and you're a comedy live action director and also a musical comedian as well, so those elements were both kind of infused into the film.
And I think there's like this admiration for each other, and also seeing the frustration of like the obstacles that get in the way of like having that success individually. And so we thought by combining our skills we could have this shot at getting a big break for both of us. And so it was like a nice thing to be able to like elevate each other's careers in a way that they never had been before, by filling in the gaps of each other. And also like I think we both really struggled with confidence. I never felt entitled to making a feature film, to the point where I hadn't even considered it until Emma suggested maybe, you should make a feature film. And yeah, thank God that happened, because making feature films is sick.
No, that's super beautiful, because it's not only the fact that you challenge each other, it's also the fact that you see the sharing of the credits as a beautiful and advantage thing. You're not looking, because there's so much ego around filmmaking. It's part of arts making even, you know, it's common. It's also part of human nature, so I'm not even like trying to say that it's a huge awful thing. It's just a little bit of ego is necessary. Also to then put yourself out in the world and publicly and have a public face, you kind of have that. You also need that kind of confidence that you were talking about. So I find it really beautiful too that you also see that as that you can share that space, you know, that credit. That's definitely something that it's something we should all work towards. So.
Yeah, I think that just to add to this point, something that for us I think it was always nice is, has been said here, like it's making a feature film or a short film, it's very intense, and having someone besides you that also shares the same responsibilities that you have to care, and this is something very beautiful in the end, and you can rely on this person, and also like being this person being your partner. Also, when you do something good, you're also doing something good for your partner as well, and so I think that's something very nice. Because I'm tired of thinking, okay, I want to do also this good, also not just for me, but also for Marcio, and I hope he does the same.
Sounds like a healthy relationship.
And yeah, but just adding like one of the things that maybe shaped our collaboration was when we first met. In 2 weeks, I think, dating, we made a travel to the beach, very seashore kind of, and then we decided to each one of us to bring like our favorite films and to show to the other. And then after that we knew the other very well, like we understood the other better, and then I think we started to also to create like this third figure that's also like who is behind also this duo, these things we share.
Yeah, and I think something that attracted us a lot on like making films together is the fact that both of us, we were actors before becoming directors. I mean, I continue acting, Filipe kind of retired, but yeah. But so I mean, like to have like performance as one of the central elements in our films, I think this was something that was quite appealing to us, and so yeah.
That takes me to the next topic I'd like to talk, which is how, if I mean, in the case of you, Emma, and your collaboration is more recent, but with you, Miri, Lina, and Marcio and Filipe, you've been working for so long. I was wondering if you have any tricks or any process that you organically landed on about developing or nurturing your creative partnership, and just also your own creative drive as individuals, as artists. If there's, because you've mentioned, for instance, that you've shown 5 of your favorite films to each other, so I think a really beautiful, like it's a plan and it works well. It's a really beautiful plan, and it allows for these conversations that arise and discussions. And I've wondered if you, but also of course if there's any of that nurturing that you've engaged, whether consciously or not consciously.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, also when we started working with each other, one thing that really helps and is like still something that keeps us going through this process is that also, like you two said, that there are like different qualities, like, and different things, like one of us is bringing in that is like something you can like really appreciate, and like someone has like better skills in this, and yeah, you can exchange, and I think this is like a really good thing to have for a collaboration, and that helps very much. And I also think, yeah, we are like in constant discussion and exchange, which helps very much, and we also watch a lot of movies together, and like, yeah, developed like over the years, like I think a language together. It was more in this, there wasn't like a film, and then we started, was like more, let's do it, and then afterwards, like, it gets deeper and deeper, and you know, okay, which way we are going. So sometimes also incredible to have an openness, you know, for someone else and go into this compromise, because our experience is actually that the films get more interesting than if you combine like two different brains than one.
I just going to be really honest and say that I think our process was chaos. Mostly,
that's part of the experience. Please do share.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot of experimenting because it's the first time we've done it. And it happened so quickly that I think we didn't have implemented many strategies in place. At one point, we lived together too, so we created a little box, and inside the box it said the film, and there was a lid that you'd put on it, and when you were home you were only allowed to talk about the film if you took the lid off and said that lasted for like one day, and then stopped. But yeah, everyone would always come over and be like, what's that? And so it was really hard, but we've decided we're going to attend therapy when we make our next project together, just specifically for the film.
Couples therapy?
Just a therapy about the project, and so we can talk about it. But I do think what naturally happened was that we did lean into each other's strengths. I think you're very organized, and I'm not as organized. I think I think it's we brought different sides, and I do think we figured it out. We just haven't intellectualized how we've done that.
Yeah, I feel like for this film, maybe it was I was the funnel and you were the a lot of amazing ideas, and then when we were writing, a lot of it was just leaning into our strengths. I was maybe more structure, but I mean we both did a lot of everything, but you brought so many of the jokes and But yeah, it was chaos. Every week we had a different method of okay, this is gonna help us organize our lives and have distinctions. But also we're both workaholics, so to an extent we had to lean into the lack of a boundary as well for this project.
Yeah, I mean we super identify with that, this workaholic thing, and I think when we started dating and working, then we realized that we were working 24 hours a day, and then we decided to do an agreement. Okay, we're not gonna talk about work after working hours, but it lasted for 2 days, and then but we did discuss a lot our films and during the whole time. But at the same time, I think we have we found a balance at some points to say now I don't feel like talking about work now, and then we just move on to something else, and then later on we go back to it.
Yeah, and I think this part that Marcio talked about, talking about the things we're thinking about the project, and the topics we want to address, the themes, and how aesthetically we want to address them. This is something that we do a lot, and we try to share the most as we can. So we are writing a character, we try to have the same reference, visual image to this character, to a place, the same thing. To a music, we create playlists, and we both listen to get into the same mood, and then we start to bring other people, because we say it's a duo, but actually it's always a team. And for example, our production designer Manuela, we worked with her since the same year we met, so it's actually a trio, it's not a duo in this sense. So and maybe also it comes from theater, that we really love long process and sharing the most we can for for the people having the same films in their minds. I think that's something very important for us.
And Miri and Emma, you were specifically also mentioning the fact that if organically or not, so intuitively or not, you're sharing responsibilities. So would you just out of curiosity, would you walk us through your own sharing of responsibilities, if that's something that you have indeed already lined up? So whether it's, for instance, directing actors, I could imagine in your case Filipe and Marcio do it together, whether it's taking care of the sound department, exchanging in dialogue with the sound person, the cinematographer, for instance, or all those.
It's interesting what you just said, because I was realizing with us it's the same. We are working in a collective actually for a very long time with a lot of the same people for over 12 years, and so there's even more than just the two of us who are taking different Aufgaben, let's say, different tasks. Yeah. And yeah, for us it's like I found it funny a little bit, like you were talking. Lina is also a little bit like the more structured one, and I'm a little bit more the chaotic one, to be honest. And for this film, for the first time, like actually we were always like going like full in and like decided everything together every day in the editing together. We are both also like super workaholic and a little bit controlling with our images, you know, like so we were also like doing everything together. But with this film we changed it a little bit because we work with a collective of like 15 merfolk, and we had the feeling, okay, there has to be like some split responsibilities over the 8 years. So I was like a little bit more in the inscenation of the people and talking to them during the interviews. Lina was a little bit more focused on the visual side, on the camera work, and so we split up only during this processes when we were live on set. But at the end, in the editing, we had to decide everything together again.
It's funny because when I've asked you both to describe your films in the beginning, it was very clear who was going to do it. It was Miri. It was Miri who said immediately. Lina who said it would be Miri immediately doing it. So
I talk much more, yeah.
So it's also interesting that you can also share responsibilities even after the film is done, no? Like you complement each other in that way.
I think because we were both, the film was like a combination of both of our different skills, and so like the divide in some ways was pretty clear because Emma's an animator herself, so she very much led the visuals, and I came from like comedy performance, and so in the directing like process in the voice booth, for example, like I would be the main one leading that, just because it becomes too much for actors if there's like multiple people chiming in too much. But obviously we would find like the balance of like, it's like I'd do like 3 or 4 takes, or it's in voice act that sounds like a lot, but in voice that's actually not too many takes. And then we just always make sure Emma got to chime in and do her take as well. But like yeah, we divided a lot of the tasks up because it just naturally leaned into the whole point of the project was our different skills. And even just like I do a lot of like the editing of the performances, but you'd be really busy working with the animators, and Emma was also the head animator. So we were juggling a lot of bits and pieces because it was such an indie as well.
Yeah, like and even when it came to the storyboard, it would be like I would be in one room kind of drawing the pictures, and then I'd be sending them to you as fast as you could edit them with your temp track, and like yeah, we just leaned into each other's strengths.
Yeah, and yeah, we were right, and we try to share all the roles and responsibilities as most as we can. Of course, sometimes during the shooting, there's like chaos happening. You feel like you're living the apocalypse, and then you have to you run to talk to this person, and I go to talk to. But we really try to create a process that we have time to when we say cut, everybody's like keep silent, and then we start to talk between us for like 2 minutes, and then say okay, now we can go in to talk to the rest of the crew. We try to create this process, but sometimes it's not possible. As Marcio was saying, like Marcio is still an actor, and I have, for example, there was a project, the short film that inspired Hard Pain, for example, called Empty Room. I directed, like a solo director, but Marcio was the main actor. So also there was this collaboration in the sense, but there. Just after C-Sharp, we directed a short film called The Last Day Before Zanzibar. And this short film, Marcio was the main actor. And we had a very short time in pre-production and development of this short film. Because it was for a museum, so you had to do it very fast. And it was an intense process. I remember of the collaboration, it was most intense for me because I didn't have that much time during development to really be 100% sure that we had the same film in our minds, and I'm very happy with the results. But it was a tough process, okay, because then you have to start to think, okay, would Marcio agree with that? And in the other process, we have more time, so I'm sure, like more sure about that. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I mean, like we, as Filipe said, like we try as much as possible not to split tasks and to do everything together, and for that to work for us, what we do is like to talk and discuss and try to be on the same page as much as possible with different strategies, as Filipe pointed out, like bringing like visual references for characters, for places, for but even like for example when we are writing a script, so we work like with the we write with each one on their own computer, but like on a shared document. So we say, okay, I'll write the scene, you write the next one, and then we swap, and then we see what the other one did, or sometimes like a dialogue, we discuss how it could be, and then I mean, like we try to constantly be on the same page and talking, discussing, because in the end, it's not like your mind creating something, but your mind combined with the other one together, they build something. So for us, for this to happen, the key thing is to try to share, try to be on the same page, try to kind of blend these ideas, these imaginaries, these universes as much as possible, you know. So whenever like we mention, for example, a character, both of us, we think on that same face, you know, even if it's just a reference, it can be like just a random picture we found on the internet, or a friend of ours, or like whatever, but just so we both have that same imaginary, so... Yeah.
Super. Of course, I also have to ask about how do you solve any disagreement? And by disagreement, I mean just something that you're not entirely on the same page about, whether it's creative or production as well, actually process, budget, timelines, everything that involves doing an artwork. If it ever happened to you, which I'm sure it did, so otherwise it would sound strange. And how do you deal with that? If you could give specific examples, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of talking, it's a lot of communication, but also, I mean, we have this inherent trust in our relationships that we know, okay, in the end we're going to figure it out, and we always try to look at the bigger picture when there is disagreement. But yeah, it was really challenging, like you said, like a feature film is overwhelming, it can be chaotic at times, of course we have a vision that has formed throughout the years, but still sometimes someone has another idea than the other, and then how you sometimes only find out in the editing. So yeah, that was challenging, but yeah, we were talking, we were sitting down each day, and also went to therapy. And really, yeah, it's about talking, and it's about okay, I have this idea, but then Miri maybe has another view, and then maybe it comes together while exchanging it, and it forms out to be better. And yeah, I think we managed to be open to that to the very end.
We also did a list at the end with 10 points that we totally couldn't disagree on. We're like, okay, for you, I close my eyes. You know? So it was, like, we at the end, we had like, out of all this decision, sometimes we had like, just like one thing we were really fighting for that didn't match, and then we just said, okay, then we do it like really structured and give the decision to the other person. That's a good tip, I think, if it's getting tough in the discussion.
Yeah, for us, because we delegated a lot of individual tasks and then we come back together and like kind of look it over together, there were quite a few times we were on different pages, but also it was because like filmmaking is a lot of problem solving, and we try and solve the problems in our own ways, and the disagreement usually just came from not being able to like think of another solution. And so it'd be like we'd sit on it and leave it and you know, start to think about what the other person was saying a lot of the time, and if we really disagreed as well. Like we were all in a studio, and we built like a really special team. Like we had maybe 6 animators that worked on it, who are like, you know, mostly women and queer people, and so we could just bring them like 2 different versions of a scene and like get like a, you know, tally around the room of who thought the best solution was, and that would also help with problem solving and disagreements.
I think also like something that I find really helpful is always to separate like you both of us from the project, because I think sometimes it's someone's ego that wants something in the project for a certain reason, but like if someone can't defend why it should be in the project, I think like that makes it really clear whether it's the right decision or not. Like I think of the project as like what we're serving, not really serving ourselves. We're serving like this product, this piece of art, and that helps me a lot. I feel like I say that to you. I'm like, but the project is like, wait, this is the right thing for the project. But yeah, I don't know. Just something about that separation really helps me in my head.
Yeah. I think for us, as we spend a lot of time talking, discussing, creating like this common imaginary during development, pre-production, and usually like during this period we have like more time to talk, discuss. Even if we have like disagreements, we have time to convince each other or to get things settled. So it's unlikely. It's not very often that on set these big disagreements happen. But of course, sometimes they do, and if they do, what we try to do is to share what each of us is not really at ease with. Like, no, I don't think this thing here is going to work, and then the other one proposes a solution, and then we try to see how it goes. If we still can't find a way and can't reach an agreement, then what we would normally do, I think, is to share with the team, and then like bringing more people in, and then again this idea of having like a process that is as collaborative as possible, you know. So then having this group discussions, and then they help us like try to find a solution or maybe see what the best solution is. And if, of course, if we have time still, then we'll try to do both ways, but and then like leave it to post, but.
Problems to that, certainly. Yeah. It's not ours. But also, I think if we, because all decisions matter a lot in cinema, but at the same time, we know that some decisions they matter a little bit more than others. So, for example, we have to be completely sure that we share the same idea about the discourse, the speech of the film, and about the topics and the controlling ideas and what these characters represent and the atmosphere. So if we don't, I don't think we ever went to shooting not sharing this common ground. But of course, sometimes then we can maybe, I don't know, I would love to this shot to like be wider. No, I think it should be closer to the character. And then in the end, this of course can affect the film, but will not change like something that the other person will feel, watch the film, feel, this is not what I believe. That this could be, then it would be a disaster. This is something very important.
Sorry, just to add something else. And yeah, I think like if we feel like that still we somehow can't reach an agreement, we don't have the time to do both ways, then usually what ends up happening is like one of us goes like, okay, really, I'm really confident on this, trust me on this, and we usually do. And to be honest, like after we finish a film, we don't even remember anymore whose idea was what, you know, like when we see something on screen, what we see is what it is, that is the work of a duo. So it's not about like, oh, but that was my idea, that was, I mean, like we honestly don't remember those things because it's never like that. It's always like one building an idea on the top of the other's idea and like combining them together and like, so.
I'm thinking of advantages and disadvantages, and I think we've covered a lot. But I could also think that another advantage is the fact that you come to the festival together and you can lean on each other's and go. It can be such intense, much less than filming and shooting, of course. But it can be such an intense voyage being here and dealing with press and premieres and audiences and other colleagues and so on, and your own expectations of what is to world premiere film to the world. So I'm curious if how you're feeling together, doing this together here at the Berlinale.
I think it's an important point. Like I sometimes I'm sad to Lina. Like I don't know if I would have the energy or like the power to do it alone. Like to be honest, like because like there are like so heavy financial struggles for like women in the industry, for queers in the industry, and I often think like, yeah, if that's not like the base of it, like, and the beauty of it, like doing it with friends, doing it collectively, like with the person you're closest with. That's like, I think, one of the main goals why I'm doing films. I want to create something with others together, and I think also having this festival tours or like this things together is for me something very important. And it's like always nicer to celebrate together than alone, I think. So yeah, for me it's a big part of it. Yes.
I think it would be terrifying on your own, and it's just really lovely having each other. And I think it's like if we were just dating other people, it would be this kind of thing that you're not really, your partner's kind of coming with you, but it's to have this shared success. I think as like a part, as also like romantically together is like pretty special.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's a bit similar in the sense of like making a film, because like depending on the day, the moment, the situation, or the topic, the task, whatever, like one of us might be more comfortable or more willing or more at ease with the situation than the other one. So then we can always like have, okay, I'll take the lead here at this moment. I mean, like, can give you a practical example now. Like we had a premiere on Friday evening, and then of course we went to celebrate, and we like to celebrate. So and we had another Q&A, like the second screening will be the next morning, and then like I was completely wasted, and I could barely talk, and then Filipe took the lead in the Q&A, and like every time they would pass me the microphone, I'd be like, no, say it all.
That's so common, let me tell you, at the Berlinale. Given we're in Berlin and we have plenty of places to party, and we love partying, obviously. I think that's a beautiful note to end on. So I would like to maybe sum up quickly what happened here, which is therapy helps as well for the artistic process. That's the tip maybe for those out there, well, for everyone really. Then also that the more the merrier. And yeah, I think that's it. And it doesn't seem like anyone here is going back to directing or working alone ever, because I've only heard really great things. The advantages, I don't know if you were being the good students, but I haven't heard of one single disadvantage. So yeah, really, thank you for this space here and for having such a beautiful way to express your collaborations. Don't miss their films. Look it up on the internet when they're screening, and yeah, they're very much worth it. They're amazing films, so go for it.